rapid advance of the German Wehrmacht blitzkrieg through Belgium, the Netherlands, and northern France in May and June crushes the combined Allied armies, forcing the evacuation of the British Expeditionary Force in Dunkirk and the capitulation of France in June 1940. Germany occupies northern and eastern France. German Allied Vichy government is established in southern France and administers the internment camps where Eddie Willner's family is being held. Eddie and his mother are released from the Gurs camp and learn from the International Red Cross that his father is being held at the Saint Cyprien camp on the other side of France. They make their way there.
When it came to the women and children, like my mother and myself, they say, can you go any place? And we decided we would look for my father. And it was also at that time determined that my father was in the camp de Saint Cyprien. Surrounded by barbed wire. And where these people did guard duty, some of them were sympathetic. And every once in a while, somebody would throw me a piece of bread. They came on duty, and there was one particular French gendarme who, whenever he was on duty, he had something for me. He threw it over the fence. And I asked him one day if he heard that people are being transported. He says, yes, if you can get out, get out. And when he said, if you can get out, get out, I thought he is insinuating to me that with him I have a chance to get out through the barbed wire under the fence when he's on guard duty. And that's exactly what happened. Both my father and I escaped when this man was on duty. He turned around, he walked away like he didn't see it. This was at night. And we went to the village where my mother lived.
So this is where we think my father, they went under the water, and that building is the closest to this area, so it makes sense that they would have come from their barrack and gone out at night underneath the wire with the gendarme going in the other direction. He kind of allowed them to go. They went under, and unfortunately Victory was captured 3 months later. They were free for a few days.
Phony ID card. This was a real ID card, but the number of the ID card was not registered at City Hall. And he took a big chance. Nothing happened to him, that I know, but we were arrested later on based on that ID card. When the Vichy police came under the guide of the Nazis, they raided places, they were looking for people, and also, in addition, they picked up whoever else they could, particularly Jews. And during one of those checks, and I don't know to this date whether we were turned in by somebody, or the mayor was turned in by somebody, or the priest was turned in by somebody. They all survived the war, I know that. But somebody must have told something, must have spoken something. Either was unhappy about us, or unhappy about the mayor, or whatever was going on there. And so one day during a raid, we were all arrested, and then we were shipped off, and they compared the IDs with what records were at City Hall, and they found out they were phony ID cards. From there on, we were sent in by train to Drancy, which is the big camp near Paris, which was a collection camp for Jews from all over France. And we were transport number 31, and that transport left on the 12th of September, 1942. It was on 12th September 1942 that our transport was put together, and these transport usually 1,000 people, cattle cars, going out of Drancy, near Paris, to the east. There were rumors where we were going, but not rumors that we're going to be gassed or anything, rumors of labor camps and so on. And in some places where we stopped, they had to get also food. We were given some water, and were able to empty buckets. We used as toilets. But there was hardly space for everybody to lie down. Some people had to sit up all night. People were packed in like sardines. Several people died. Some people committed suicide. In my particular car, a lady doctor gave birth to her own baby. And the child, of course, didn't survive, and I don't know if she did. That was the most unusual event in my cattle car. On the way to Auschwitz, and again, I didn't know the destination at that time, at one station in, I can't recall the name right now, in Upper Silesia, a small station, the doors were opened, and they said, all men out. That was the order, all men working, men that were able to work out. Like I said, this was not an arrival at Auschwitz or at any other camp, but it was just this small station. And at that time, I had to make a decision. In the meantime, I was going on 16, and I was pretty strong because I worked that summer in the French vineyards to make some money. And it was hard work, so I had pretty strong muscles. And it wasn't just that, but the decision I had to make whether it was a child staying with the women or a man. I wanted to stay with my father, and I came out. And we didn't know at that time what it meant. Work meant be able to survive, to live. But we didn't know what it meant for my mother. And from that transport, number 31, according to this book from the French government, of the 1,000 people or so, I think there's 6 survivors that they determined after the war. So all the women and children went straight into the gas chamber. And that part, I searched for my mother after the war, and I wound up with a German Red Cross, or International Red Cross at Arolsen. And they had a listing saying that all the women and children went straight into the gas chamber of that transport. So I assumed that my mother was gassed right away on arrival at Auschwitz, which was sometimes in September 1942.